Hello, folks, once again, and welcome back to Coach's Corner, powered to you by Central Hydraulics, a proud distributor of Boss plows and equipment for over 26 years. I'm your host, Paul Vold. Here this week, we have founder, that being John Hall, joins us on the show. And John, thanks so much for taking time to talk with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Of
Thanks
course.
for having me.
Of
Always
course.
a pleasure.
Yeah, we have got to get an update, of course, from you. And after a weekend split by the Lumberjacks, of course, we get a chance to maybe divert from our regularly scheduled programming as we hit that midway point of the season. But of course, with you being founder, of course, you're around quite often, of course, during the week, and of course, game days as well. I just want to also really talk about, with you being a founder, also part of the ownership group for the Lumberjacks too. Really, when it comes to ownership of a junior hockey team at this level, I mean, there's a fair amount of decisions that have to be made behind the scenes, I would imagine so.
A fair amount. We pretty much leave those up to Brad Wilner. Brad's in his, I might get the years wrong, but he's in his 15th year now with us, and he's our president, I call him, and general manager, and does a fantastic job. So, as you can see how successful we are, he's been pretty good at what he does.
No, absolutely. Of
Starts
course,
at the top.
It always starts right at the top, and of course, you always like to ask, of course, people that obviously coaches and everybody too, kind of like the day to day with them. We've talked with Brad in the past too about his day to day with him being the GM, with you being founder, and of course part of the ownership group as well. What's kind of the day to day for you? Maybe even leading up to game day also.
Well, a game day around here is, we built what we call the alumni room back here. I think we've been in here 8 years, so we usually have a staff meal. If I'm in town, we'll make a meal. There again, Brad is a very accomplished cook, so I try to do some things, but I forget who threw me under the bus here a couple weeks ago. Who was it? Oh, Mikey Lawrence.
Yep.
John brings food.
Brings stuff.
I've been trying to get more into the cooking end of it. But yeah, we usually do a team meal here. Around 5:30, maybe cracking a little nap after that, and the players show up at 5:30 for our typical 7:30 game here at the Miller Rink, and watch the game, and then hopefully it's a win. We've been pretty fortunate. I think right now we're 18-5-5, started 13-0, moved a couple of kids up. Have had the injury bug here it's been tough the last 3-4 weeks. We got guys playing out of position. It's been tough. Every hockey team, again, this is our 18th year. You have your ups and downs. I think we're still in the last 3-4 weeks, we're hovering around 500, but, still splitting games, winning games. Got snake bit a little bit by the Moose. Outplayed them a couple of times, but in a game of hockey, we'll be there at the end. We have been every year, and totally expect us to be there with DJ Mose and Mikey Lawrence running the hockey part of it, and we'll be there. Guarantee you. We'll put names in a hat, and we'll remember you later down the road here in the season. We're halfway done here. I think we're taping this on, is it the 8th?
Correct. Actually, the 9th.
9th. I was just at a wedding over the weekend up in Duluth. One of our former players, Travis Cotenbeetle, played here, played in Austin for a couple of years, and then played at UNO. So I was at a wedding. It's kind of nice to see a kid that kind of came through our program, has some success, and that's kind of what we do and how we do. And it was a fun weekend.
Yeah,
up in Duluth.
And that brings me to my next couple of points too, of course, with the success of the program that's been around, of course, the last 17 seasons going into, of course, 18 as well. You talk about even going to a former player's wedding. Of course, we see a handful of players still come back from the past, and I'm sure the success of the program and players moving on up to the upper levels and even playing college hockey too. You look at the body of work of everything with the Lumberjacks. That has to be something that it's definitely something to be proud of too.
Yeah, you see some kids come through. Again, this is our 18th year. I think we've had 170 kids play college hockey. I think we're at 71 kids, which D1, D3. It's great hockey. So one of the first guys here, Bobby Thompson, I was just talking to him here a couple of weeks ago. He's on his third child. He played with us back. We won the MJ Cup back in here at back then it was called the Tin Can before we got corporate sponsorship. But thanks, Brian, for all you do there too. To see him have a family doing well in life, wins and losses are tough and fun, but just fun to see the kids grow into young men and come back and talk with them and see how they're doing in life. And that's what we try to do, is just prepare kids to go out in the real world. Hockey is a blast, and kids get to do it. The junior A kids are 16 to 20 here, and to see them blossom, have fun, and start families and become successful, that's a feather in our cap. Everybody in our organization, from Cindy, then housing, all our wives that put up with us being gone
Of course.
in the winter, and we kind of got a family here. We typically like to hang out with each other. Some nights are tougher than others, but that to me is the fun of it. To be just have the people, the relationships.
Absolutely.
It's the game of life,
That
relationships.
is. Speaking with founder John Hall here with your Granite City Lumberjacks on Coach's Corner, as we get to now the fun part here with some rapid fire questions. John, you ready this time?
Yeah, I hope you don't ask me to name the all Jacks team.
I scratched it out last minute. We'll probably do something here in the future. That way you can really have some time to prepare.
Because we'll have an all 20-year team.
Yes,
that's going to be a tough team to do.
We'll do a first, second, maybe third team, maybe honorable mentions. There's been a lot of kids that have come through in this time. What has been of your time here with Granite City the favorite jersey that you have been a part of, or have at least been concocted all together here?
Well, now it's probably going to be recent. We've done United Heroes League, the Smiles by Jake. We came. This is our second year, and we've had that touch our organization recently with things that happened there. And it's been a couple of tough weeks around here for everybody. But I would say that the most meaningful now to me will be the Smiles for Jake. And they run a great program, and we've kind of hooked on with them. And it's the last when we had the game here, we wore them 2 nights. So that right now is that's going to be a tough jersey to surpass with what's gone on in our organization here in the last couple of weeks. So that's what I'm going to stick with.
From all the rinks that you've visited with your time here with Granite City, which one has been your favorite to visit?
Well, you're talking favorite. Back in the day, I know Alex is a good one, Wilmer's a good one, but back in the day, was the Mason City rink. Back in the day, it was the
back at the fairgrounds.
The fairgrounds, the hardest place to play. They had some hell of teams. I think the team that went 55-3-1, I think we beat them twice that year. But when you go to a rink at 5:30 and the game's at 7:30 and they have case of beer night, and they're in there at 5:30 when you're there trying to polish off a case of beer, it's going to be a long night.
Yes, it
and then
is.
They would make us stand on the rink for 10 minutes. And it was that. Not favorite, but it's the most memorable. And I don't know if they can't quite duplicate that in a rink that seats 5,000 people now. But the old barn at North Iowa, when the North Iowa Bulls was a treat.
It certainly was. What's been your favorite meal to have cooked here for the staff on game day?
Well, mine would be, now this I'll have to throw, my wife's actually cooked it, is her lasagna is pretty good, and her bread is good. So I'll bring it over, throw it in the oven here to make it look like I cook it. But this is to you, Nancy. That's some good lasagna. It's good lasagna.
It certainly is. Of course, now we got to get to some holiday questions here, with it being that time of season. Who do you think within the organization is probably the biggest Grinch? This maybe doesn't like the holidays, and I have stressed this too. It's not that the Grinch didn't hate Christmas; he didn't like people. There's a difference there.
Boy, the biggest Grinch. That's going to be a tough one. Before Christmas, after Christmas, during the whole season. I'm gonna have to toss Rocky under the bus there. He can be a little bit of a Grincher, but then he's the complete opposite as a giver. So I'm gonna give him both sides of that.
I like
of that.
I like it.
That's for you, Rocco.
Any holiday traditions that you enjoy with this time of season? Getting together with family, going somewhere. What's been kind of a tradition that you really look forward to this time?
Well, this time of year is getting together, family. Our whole family, we kind of rotate back and forth. My daughter Anna lives in Mesa, so we spent last Christmas there. This Christmas we'll be here. But kind of a goofy deal is we've got about 10, 12 people on Christmas Eve before we go to church. We'll stop over at Boudreaux's from about 2 to 4 and have a couple of Tom and Jerry's over at Boudreaux's.
Okay.
So if you're out and about on Christmas Eve, you'll spot a few lumberjackers at Boudreaux's, one of our favorite hangouts years past. I'd say Boudreaux's.
All right. And what's been a holiday, your favorite stocking stuffer that you can always count on being in your stocking, maybe Christmas Day?
Boy, back in the day, Christmas stocking, I would have to go back to my mom and dad, and they always would stuff a check in an envelope in our stocking. And there's a couple years that it was quite a surprise. So I'm going to go back to my mom and dad stocking stuffer, having a check in there. There's nothing like a check with a couple of zeros on it.
That always helps, definitely, for sure. And lastly, what do you want for Christmas this year?
Boy, what I want for Christmas, I said this before when we talk. Every time we start a game or a season, or you go through a rough spell, is if you're ever going to win another hockey game. And again, we've won over 60% of our games, maybe closer to 70%. But it's nice just getting a win. It makes the evening so enjoyable around here after we win.
Absolutely.
Because when we lose, we take it pretty tough. We take it tough. I know it's the game of life, but I still love winning hockey games.
Absolutely. Founder John Hall joins us here this week on Coach's Corner. Of course, powered to you by Central Hydraulics, distributor of Boss plows and equipment for over 26 years. Be sure to stick around here. John, you got anything else?
Well, I was just going to say Boss plows. Back when we had the lumberyard, we always bought Boss plows, and the V plow was the best. And we use those guys for our equipment day in and day out. So shout out to our sponsor. But I love I enjoyed plowing snow with the Voss B plow. So it's a good shout out to him. Great plow.
John, we appreciate the time for you joining us here this week, and hopefully we get a couple more wins here. Of course, as we close out the 2024 portion of the schedule, of course, we've got Alexandria coming up, Showcase right after that as well. We'll talk more about that with one of our players coming up. But John, thanks so much for joining us this week.
It's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me, boys.
Coach's Corner, back with more after this. Welcome back here to Coach's Corner, powered to you by Central Hydraulics, a distributor of Boss plows and equipment for over 26 years. As we get the chance now to talk with one of our players, it is number 35 at Trent Peterson. And Skinner, thanks so much for joining us this week.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We appreciate the time. We got to get one thing out of the way. Nickname Skinner. How did you come about this nickname?
So I've had a Pirates hat probably since I was 15 or 16 now. And this year I wore it to practice one day, and former Jack Marsky gave me the nickname and said I looked like Paulski, and so it's just stuck from ever since then.
You know, that is not a bad comparison to put out there, especially with a Rookie of the Year and hopefully future Cy Young winner. But we'll talk about, of course, the weekend recapping with the Minnesota Wilderness, the trip up north there. But first off, let's give you a chance to introduce yourself. Just tell us where you're from and how long you've been playing hockey.
Yeah, so I'm from Superior, Wisconsin, and I've been playing hockey since I was 3 or 4, so quite some time now.
Yeah, always been a goalie in your time? You play anywhere else?
Yeah, so I started playing goalie when I was, I think, second year Mite. I think I first actually started playing, just fell in love with watching Kenny Ryder at UMD and just stuck with it ever since.
Mm-hmm. And of course, we always like to ask our new players, why did you choose come to this program here in Granite City?
They're kind of the first program to kind of see me and give me a shot, and then they're just a team that's had a lot of success, obviously winning multiple Fraziers, and they're just a team where I wanted to be here and develop and get me to where I want to be in my future.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, with the young group of players that we do have, looking back at the weekend, take the trip up north to the Minnesota Wilderness. You get put in a position very interesting on Friday with a game that ultimately was a loss by the score of 5-4. But you come off the bench there in relief of Tyler White. I'm sure it's a little bit of a different change there from the start of the contest of being a backup, then ultimately being thrown into that mix there after the first couple minutes of the game.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, you don't want to see that as a goalie partner getting obviously put in, but it's part of the game sometimes, and just kind of carry myself the same whether I'm playing or if I'm backing up. So that kind of helped. And then once I finally got in there, I mean, I think second shot I got was like a 2-on-1. So I think once I stopped that, I was pretty hopefully settled into that game and kind of translated over. Yeah. On my performance.
And of course, then you throw in the finishing off the weekend, the team gets a nice 3-2 victory. I'm sure with the recent, kind of back and forth in the win-loss column for the team, finishing off the weekend with a win had to feel nice for the whole squad.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just been going through a lot of adversity as a team right now, and a win's a win in this division, and it definitely helps with the race with Alexandria right now. It's usually neck and neck right now, so it definitely helped, and can't ask for anything more than a win and 2 points.
No, definitely, for sure. As we're talking with number 35, Trent Peterson, here this week on Coach's Corner. We talked with your other two goaltending buddies here a couple weeks ago, Nick Hansen and Tyler White. What's been, kind of really nice thing with this, this trio of goalies here, at least maybe in practice during the week here to, kind of keep things kind of loose with you guys?
Yeah, it's just been nice because 3 goalies, you kind of get a good rotation where you're still getting quality reps and getting quality rest to, again, get quality reps. But they're also 2 really good goalies that push me to be better, and I hopefully push them to get better. So just a good goalie tandem that hopefully brings us all a lot of success in our futures.
And how have you really seen a change in the level of play, maybe from, of course, last year going from, of course, the high school level and then up to now at the junior level too?
Yeah, so I think the play is obviously a lot faster here, but there's a lot more depth, a lot more lines can be rolled, can throw anybody in pretty much any situation. But I think the transition was pretty nice playing, in my opinion, the hardest Wisconsin schedule and playing in a Minnesota conference against quality teams like Grand Rapids, Hermantown, teams that contend every year. So I think that transition kind of made it easier with the pace of play because you're playing guys who are playing from our level to the USHL. So I think just being at that level kind of helped that transition here to kind of settle me in.
Yeah, with, of course, the Lumberjacks now getting a chance to be back at home coming up here on Friday, take on the Alexandria Blizzard, too. I mean, there's been a little bit, of course, the closing in the standings, too. But what's really been a big focus here this week with, of course, this week of practice leading up to a home game against the Blizzard?
Yeah, just getting back to healthy. Got a lot of guys hurt or sick and all that. So just trying to get them back and ready to play again, and then just obviously coming here and wanting to win and wanting to play. So just competing in practice and doing everything 110%. I think that's just been the focus here for these past couple of weeks and waiting into this week. And I think the hungriest man is going to get the food first here. So
yeah, look forward to that. A game against Alexandria, which will be coming up here from Miller Buick GMC Arena. 7:30 puck drop. First 100 fans also get one of these little cinch sacks here, which I'll just put right there for you. So be sure to join us coming up here on Friday, right here from Miller Buick GMC Arena. But with the quick turnaround as well, you go from a Friday home contest, then of course early next week before the Christmas break, you got the NA3HL showcase down in the cities, and well, it's not going to be any easier with first place divisional teams. What have you really heard maybe from some of the veterans or at least the coaching staff that maybe they've kind of put out a little bit? What have you really heard about the showcase?
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. It's great exposure for everybody playing, especially the age outs, and it's a good thing because we're playing other number 1 seeds, and we're playing 1 and 2 Helena and Louisiana, and Wausau's just behind them, I think. So it's going to be a good place to see where we stand with those teams, leading to hopefully St. Louis, where we ultimately want to be at the end of the year. So I think it's a good thing overall.
I look forward to that. Of course, you can find the full schedule for the NA3HL Showcase on na3hl.com as we're talking with Trent Peterson for Coach's Corner. Ready for some rapid-fire questions?
I hope so.
All right, let's hope so as well. We usually try to start off a little bit easy. What's kind of that pregame routine come game day? Does it start right away in the morning, right before you get here? What kind of gets you in that right mindset?
Yeah, so I kind of wake up around, try and get up early, 8 to 9 o'clock, somewhere in that range, and then usually just chill out, have my, usually do some yoga, kind of clear my mind, get my body loose, and take a cold shower, and then get some Jimmy John's for before the game. And then once I'm at the rink, I eat a banana and then a peanut butter sandwich, and then do my pregame routine, just eyesight and stretching and all that, and then ready to hit the ice from there.
What's the go-to order there from Jimmy John's for that pregame meal?
I get a slim one and then add turkey on that.
I like that. That is as simple as it gets. With it comes to the jersey uniform, do you prefer the red or the white jersey with Granite City?
That's tough. I like I like the red because it matches with my pads, I think, but the whites are pretty hard to beat too.
They certainly are. Which has been your favorite away rink that you've been at here with Granite City so far?
I think atmosphere-wise, I think Alexandria, it's just a fun crowd to play in front of, but Mason City has a pretty cool rink to play at as well. So either of those two have been my most fun rinks to play at so far.
Certainly like it. Now we get a chance here, maybe throw a couple teammates under the bus if you're ready for it. Which do you think of the goalies maybe talks about the most about who thinks they can actually score? Because we know that Hansen got a point here a couple weeks ago, so he's probably riding high on that right now.
Yeah, probably me, honestly. I love to play the puck and love to shoot the pucks, and I always say if we're up by 2 goals or something like that, and they pull the goalie, and I get the chance, I'm definitely going for it. So I would say me.
I like it. Who talks the most between the forwards and defensemen? Who thinks they could actually play goalie?
Probably Thomas Garham. He's just always there at goalie skate, and he says he works with goalies in the summer, and he's always want to learn about it. So I think he would probably be the one who would probably say he could be a goalie.
You know, we're gonna have to see if he could actually do it one of these practices. Maybe not. Secret Santa. Who would you want to get a gift from, and who would you not want to receive a gift from when it comes to Secret Santa?
Ooh. I think I'd want to get a gift from Eli Tiernan. He's just a nice guy, and I think he'd give me something good. And somebody I wouldn't want to get a gift from is probably Braden Willis. He would just probably give me some joke, and probably wouldn't be the best gift ever.
Yeah. Well, the next question here is pretty on par, especially with Brian behind the camera. Who do you think is the biggest Grinch on the team? Just doesn't like Christmas.
Ooh, I might have to go with ex-roommate TJ Lepisto.
I love that. Who probably is into the holiday spirit maybe just a little bit too much? Who absolutely loves this time of year, the holiday season?
Not really sure. I feel like Hanny might actually like it. Nick Hansen.
Interesting. Okay.
I feel like he's a really jolly guy.
I like that. All right, maybe a couple more here. What's been a stocking stuffer that you usually get every year that you can always count on that's been your favorite?
Probably some thick white hockey tape. Can never go wrong with having too much hockey tape, especially as a goalie. That's always getting beat up.
I like that. What has also been, what's one thing you got on your Christmas list this year that you want?
This, Oculus for the NHL Sense Arena looks super fun, and it probably actually translate to my own game. So that's been the one big thing on my list for this year.
That sounds quite expensive. That's just, you throw the word Oculus out there and I already hear dollar signs on top of it. And lastly here with our rapid fire question, what is just personal goals here for this season? What do you want to get out of your time with Granite City?
Yeah, personal goals. I want to develop as a player, get to my most potential that I know, and hopefully get to a higher up level, and then team goals obviously want to win the division and then ultimately win the league and win a Fraser and get a ring on my finger. So, yeah.
Number 35, Trent Peterson joins us here on Coach's Corner. Powered to you by Central Hydraulics. Again, your Lumberjacks back in action here coming up on Friday against Alexandria Blizzard from Miller Buick GMC Arena. First 100 fans get one of these nice little cinch sacks, so come on in and join all of us before the end of the first half of the season for the NA3. Of course, you can always find out more what's going on with the Granite City Lumberjacks by following us on our social media platforms, and also stay up to date with our schedule at na3hl.com. Coach's Corner, powered to you by Central Hydraulics, which is a proud distributor of Boss plows and equipment for over 26 years. We'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks again.